almost got away with it. Oh yeah. So, just for the record, when I sit up, I look better. So, I mean, I lay down when it's like, okay, I got time for a break. So I'm a bit under where I was before I laid down. But when I sit up feeling good and I look in the mirror, it's like, damn, man, I need to do a video with that face, because it's a little bit prettier than this one, and this is a little prettier than the last one. I think as long as you keep getting prettier, you can fool people even if you're ugly. No, I'm not that stoned. I'm a little stoned. I'm smoke stoned. I ain't done no. I mean, I'm not smoke stoned. I just took a little hit before I lay down. But okay, so since the new format is small talk, before getting off-topic small talk before getting into the meat of it is I stink. Presumably. Well, I don't know that I stink. I'd have to presume I do for the sake of people who might find themselves in my orb. But I live alone. I'm always alone. I don't smell myself. Actually, sometimes I smell myself, and it makes me think maybe I don't smell the other times. But anyway, there's no one to ask. I ain't got no one familiar enough with me to ask, do I smell bad? Can you think you can? I know it's an awkward kind of question, but do I smell bad? But there's this lady, she walked her baby by here, and she's nice. I talked to her, and I asked her, like we stood out there talking a little while. I got kind of, she's pushing her baby, so I like getting down, right in there talking to the baby, and she's right there, and I thought I saw some awkward look on her face, and I couldn't figure out, like, is she distressed? Did I do? So I was like, oh, I stink. Then I wound up giving her some advice on helping her baby sleep. I messaged her, and then she was like, okay, so I gave her some advice, and then I said, can I ask you something, When we was out there talking, did I smell bad? And she said, emphatically, she didn't notice anything. What she kept coming back at it. I mean, I told her to, I'll tell you the story in a minute, but so I don't know. Maybe I don't smell, but it was outside. Maybe her nose, whatever. I mean, I need people. Need a room full of people. And see, do I go in there? Everybody's face turns funny around the same time. Then, okay, then I say, hey, it ain't gonna hurt none. It's like, then I better ask. Because then I can at least explain myself, which would go something like this. See, the water pipes blew up after Cindy died. The toilet, everything went crazy after Cindy died. And tried to shut down the water to the house. And then the water company got stupid. And so I said, fuck them, I got a well, So, I started using the hose water for this or that. And in the meantime, I stopped fucking bathing, and because I was like, I ain't give a I live alone, like I'll get around to figuring it all out. And it didn't take long before like my dandruff and my like all this, all the fungus issues healed up. They went away. I was like, and that actually makes sense. That actually made sense to me, you know. So fuck it, you know. It's like, and then I come up with this whole thesis. And I already had kind of a lot of ideas on like probiotics, inner gut bacteria. Well, what about the outer gut bacteria? and so meanwhile, my hair got all black, smelly, greasy, and my clothes got nasty because I don't change my clothes any fucking way, you know. And they get greasy, nasty after wearing the same ones a couple weeks, you know. And like my bed, my pillowcase, you know, everything get this nasty. Like see that black spot on the curtain between the rooms, which helps like keep the heat in here, and and that darkness down there. That's just from me going by my hair, hitting up there, and like that shit was all over my pillowcase, my bed, clothes. Man, when I washed my clothes, all this nasty shit come out, and but I felt better. But you know, I was like, you know, well, after a while, it went away. Like now, my clothes, I've been wearing these for a couple weeks. I mean, I wear them so long, you know, I put on a nice pair of jeans, and that's what it looks like. And by the time I take them off, I got to come up with I got to come up with a way to patch them when they get a little teeny hole in them. But, or sell them, you know, sell them before they get like that. Sell them to the girls. But, so, but it went away. My hair's not all greasy. The pillow, I've had this pillowcase using it forever. The clothes don't get all greasy. My bed don't get greasy, and that thing that's just where it was when I stopped being greasy, you know. And I thought it was oil from that I put on my leg, and you know, stuff that I put on my leg to keep it, you know, to help it, therapeutic oil and shit. But I still use the oil, and it's not bad. It's like the thing is, when I put oil on my leg or anywhere else, like even like when I eat popcorn, and I got olive oil on my hand, you know, salt and all that shit, and then I lay here a little longer instead of go clean it, instead of wash it off. I lay here a while. It's gone in a little while. Like you rub oil on your skin. You're like, ugh, nasty, greasy and shit. And wait a little while there, it's fucking gone because it like the body sucks that shit up. And that's what's good about it, you know. And it goes down in your muscles and you massage it in there, and it's better than not doing that. I've been doing a lot of that. I always do a lot of that. But but I mean, soap is oil. Oh no! Like, is that what all that black greasy shit was? That's the question. What the fuck was that? What that was coming out of me? It's like every time you use soap and like you get out the shower, right? Is it there? You can feel that little film feeling on there, and then it goes away, like when you dry off and shit. Yeah, but is it going away? Is it absorbing into into your body? But your body, it don't want that shit, you know? It's like, well, that's not, you don't want to eat soap. You eat some olive oil, you soak up some olive oil in your skin, and your body goes, "Oh, olive oil, man! I can do all kind of cool shit with this." Anyway, that's what I wonder. Like, is that if that's what it was, Because when I explained it to my mom, I don't think I did as good a job here as I did with her. But and she's like always, against. She's always trying to poke a hole in everything, and she was like, oh, she saw that. She not agreed, because I don't know if that's what it is either, but she was like, she saw my point before she had a chance to unsee it, to take a shot at my self-esteem or whatever the little weird game them people play. Well, everybody seems to play all these weirdo fucktard games. But anyway, so so that's my off-topic distraction, Oh yeah, but then I found a lady on the internet, and her husband, he had stopped using soap for some reason for a little while, and his hair got all black, greasy, smelly, but his scalp felt better, and then he stopped using it all, and then she did it, so it was like, yeah, they both had the same story of the greasy, smelly hair thing. And it took like a fucking year and a half, and until that ended. And now it's like, well, I think what happens is you get like, the good bacteria gets rid of all the either bad bacteria, fungus, bad virus, whatever's on you that ain't that deals with the soapy guy, gets eaten up by the guys, by like your old caveman, the guy that didn't used to bathe, but he didn't have fur either. He like replaced his fur with other animals' fur. And then the shit that would be around your fur is now in between. It's in the fur you took from animals and your skin. Like evolved some kind of whole biosystem there. And you wake that back up. And it's like it eats all that stuff instead. It eats the bad shit. It's like my pants. Like they don't. They're just pants, dirty pants. But they feel dry. They don't feel greasy. They don't feel the way that they used to. They feel cleaner than ever. Like when you wash with soap, you get this. There's a soapy film in that, in your clothes. That like when I stopped bathing and using soap in the laundry and started washing my clothes, it took a long time, but it really seemed like it took a long time to get the soap residue out of the clothes, the same way it did with my skin. Which makes sense, because the people that run society are fucking fucktards and fucktard weirdos, and like your food's poison, everything's poison. Is like, oh, and then as far as you clean people go, who look at me, go, oh my God, he's dirty. I'm like, well, I guess you've got a point there. So anyway, getting back to the topic. 1999, the change of the millennium, December 31st, 1999. Y2K, fake the end of the world. For you, if you don't know what Y2K is, it was like a alleged computer virus that when the clock struck midnight at the change of the millennium, there was just no telling what was going to happen. Were planes going to fall out of the sky? Were nuclear power plants going to melt down? I mean, but it was like it was like the government. It was like the big computer company. It wasn't like some idiot saying the world's going to end on December 31st, 1999. It's like, no, all the big shots are saying this could happen and we're not sure. Because we fucked up like way, way, way back, and we when we programmed the most internal clock in your operating systems, the universal DOS that became part of all the, or I think it was DOS, but all the other operating systems. That original internal clock that they just kind of forgot all about, it's like it was only programmed up to 1990, to the end of 1999, and they didn't know what was going to happen when it. Well, see, it's like, but it was bullshit. There was no fucking glitch. It was. They put that out there, and then when planes started falling, like then they go, it's like a hoax. Like, okay, let's get everybody thinking this virus is going to cause planes to fall out the sky, and then we'll hack the planes and cause them to fall out the sky. Like if you're like on Columbo, like the perfect murder by fucking what's that? Bill Gates. Like, and he going fucking. He wants to kill his wife, and so he's going to have all the planes fall out the sky when she's on a plane. But it's like what they're doing is like faking the end of the world. They done tactically figured out where to attack, what to get the end result they want of some kind of apocalyptic world ending that, now the government's got to try to fix. We all need to come together to fix everything, the New World Order. And okay, but see, the New World Order was like one world government, one world military, one world currency, one world banking system. But then you also need a one world church. You can't have all the religions arguing over which one of their gods fucking ended the world, and now you have to do what they say. So God has to cause the end. They got to trace it back to God. And it's like it's a Christian thing. So they're gonna the people but designed it, Americans and the Europeans, like okay, so it's got to come back to the Bible and shit, and so they got like So see, okay. 666, like the devil, mark of the devil. 666.666 times 3, like 3 sixes. Well, 3 sixes, 0.36 times 3 equals 1999.998. Which is like the stroke of midnight Y2K. And then there's a bunch of stuff in Revelations that, like, it's not that Revelations was talking about hard drives and the mechanics of a hard drive and how hard drives work, what the operating system's on the computers that are going to fail, but it's got heads and it's got disc. I forget the names of the different parts, but it's not that it was prophesied that these would be computer I just said hard drives. It was the people who designed this whole scenario. They just used the Bible to name parts of a hard drive. Like okay, well now that we've got a hard drive, like okay, now let's look through Revelations and say, okay, yeah, here, if we name this part that part this, and this part that, it can look like that's what it's talking about, the dragon and the devil. It's like, oh, it's talking about a hard drive. Oh yeah, and then so that like kind of validates that, and then they got 666 times 3 equals 1998, and then they build this whole fake into the world with the devil and Jesus and the Michael the Archangel. They got all these different actors that are going to play roles in everything that leads up to Y2K. And afterward, and then that would all be revealed later. That would be revealed as this whole thing facilitated. And there was more to it. I'll tell you the unbelievable stuff since we're already into the unbelievable stuff. But there was like this additive to gasoline called MTBE. It's made out of refinery waste products that are not allowed to be in gasoline, and that's why they remove it when they refine the crude oil, and methanol, and when you combine the two of them and put them in gasoline, it causes this high emissions of volatile organic compounds and nitrogen oxide. Now, trees produce their own emissions of volatile organic compounds and nitrous oxide, which then combine in ultraviolet sun rays to create ozone. You've heard of ozone, ozone warning days, breathing ozone, the ozone layer, it surrounds the earth, protects us from the sun. It produces this byproduct ozone. But the process affects in trees, that's how trees, they also emit water vapor. And a bunch of other compounds. So it all comes out the trees and the plants, but the trees do it in significant enough amounts. And mixes with water vapor and carries it up into the sky. And then you see clouds, and then it comes back down on the plants as rain, and the compounds and the sun and other. It comes down on the plants with like sulfurs in it that the plant needs. It's like this whole natural process that's evolved over billions of years, and then when you add MTBE to gasoline. But it's also factories, refineries. I mean, there's whenever you add a bunch of extra VOCs and nitrogen oxide together, you exaggerate an ongoing process of making clouds and fucking rain. So so that shit tends to, with MTBE, they got like at the end, at 1999, they had 15% of everybody's gasoline was MTBE. And so you're getting this huge, the shit's, it's poison too. To breathe, it's poison, and it's like fucking, it's shit. And, but it wreaks havoc on atmospheric water vapor, and it like here's the trees, and it sends some water up there and comes down and rains. The water was in the ground and in the streams, and then it goes into the plants, and then it goes up in the sky, but then it falls back down, so things don't dry back out. Well, MTBE causes so much of it to go up that like creeks dry, it gets droughty, like shit can dry up. And as long as there's more MTBE, as long as there's more VOCs, high levels of VOCs and nitrogen oxide going up with it, then it'll keep taking the fucking water from the ground until it's fucking bone dry. But it's still all up there. And then you shut down the MTBE source, or even lower it. If you lower it, you might get storms. You might just finally get rain. You can regulate it. But if you shut that shit off, it'll all come down at one time. Like a flood and storms and hurricanes, blizzards since 1999. Well, see, that's the point. is they're going to take out the fuel supplies when they shut the world. And when they, at the fake end of the world, you're not going to be, it's going to shut down the refineries. I mean, that's going all the economies are going to grind to a halt, you know, and so all the MTBE they've been pumping in the atmosphere, that's then causing tons of water vapor to go up into the atmosphere, higher into the atmosphere, then it'll condense and come back down and rain until you shut off or lower the level of the VOCs and nitrogen dioxide. So we got a whole planet, because they're doing this shit all over the world. The whole planet has got all this. It's got like oceans of water sitting up here in the upper atmosphere. And then fake into the world, everybody, it's going on. And it takes a little while, you know, until all the gasoline is finally used up. And I mean, it starts having, and this is like in the middle of winter, you know, so you're not getting like hurricanes, you're getting blizzards and shit, you know, and ice storms. I mean, I've seen what that shit does in the winter too, and it's fucking. I've seen just the weirdest. I mean, a lot of it's really beautiful, but if it kept coming like that, it would have covered everything in, you know, 10 feet of ice or snow, or you know, however much. So that, you know, that's like. So, end of the world, the Bible, all kinds of storms, but see, also earthquakes and shit. You know, there's going to be all this, things are supposed to happen. And so here you got your storms and your blizzards, and then the snow melts, you got floods. But you also got, see, if you've got land that used to be fertile in water and, you know, normal and shit, and then it dries up. It's, you know, like the trillions of tons of water that were in the ground are now up in the sky looking down, right? And then it comes back down like all at once, like a hammer. And it causes earthquakes. And I've done a lot of research on that. I mean, there's a lot of research that backs it up, but they still won't admit it. I mean, there's all this there's research to say, yeah, like reservoir-induced seismicity. Like they did that. They built a nuclear power plant a couple 100 miles south of here, or 100 miles or whatever, 150 miles, I forget. And let me see, I think it's like an hour and a half away, or is it 45? I forget. But they built a nuclear power plant with this big fucking lake. It took a man-made lake to keep it cool. And you know, it was supposed to take and it was supposed to take years to fill up, but a hurricane came up and just fucking filled it up like all at one time. And there were none of the expected reservoir-induced seismicity, which is normal when you create a man-made, a reasonable-sized man-made structure, a lake where there wasn't water. Now there's water. The land moves around. If it gets comfortable and shit, right? Well, this one filled up so fast there weren't any, and then in 2011, maybe. I think it was 2011, like August 23rd or something. But there was an earthquake right under the motherfucker, right at the fuck on the nuclear power plant. 5.8 Richter scale earthquake. For a nuclear power plant, it was built to withstand a 6-point earthquake because they lied about there being a fault underneath it. Like, they found the fault, and if they had to build it to the specifications needed for the fault, it would have had to been to 8.8 on the Richter scale, which would have cost like a fuckload lot more money. So they lied and built it to 6, and then they had a 5.8, which shut down the plant. It rocked here. This whole house was shaking. The Washington Monument got damaged by that shit, right? You know. But there's time. I mean, but there's other science too. I mean, it's just you know they blame climate change. They say CO2 climate change is your goddamn. Uh, but they don't tell you anything about VOCs and nitrogen oxide and the effect it has on just weather. You know, they're like, you have a hot day and a big drought and it goes, oh no, man, my flowers all dying, my well's gone dry. It's climate change caused by carbon dioxide. You know, but then there's a shift in the MTBE use because I freaked out. I undermined the industry. You know, I took a shot at them and they pulled it out of gasoline so they would, you know, so they could say, you know, so they could lie their way around it, and then all the water come down, you know. So the point is that with the VOCs and NOx weather pattern changes, it all returns to normal if you just stop fucking with the atmosphere. The CO2, they you know, it stays in the atmosphere 100 years or so. I mean, I don't want to. That's a long lecture on CO2 climate change. But it's all bullshit. And one of the ways you know it's bullshit is because it's not included in the discussion. Like, you don't know about weather changes, man-caused weather changes. You just know this climate change, and everybody agrees. And like, do you even know that the actual theory itself has never been proven? But you know, it's just when they say a scientist agree that it's happening, because they can't say scientists have proved it's happening. Nobody disagrees. No, nobody's ever been able to prove how CO2 in the atmosphere can cause it. They have theories on it, but they don't have any evidence. They haven't found an experiment to prove it. But the whole VOC nitrous oxide thing, that's been fucking proven. And there's scientists out there trying to tell you that that's really what's going on, and the government won't let them fucking do it. because everything causes CO2. You know, so like the government can tax you for every breath you take if they can get everybody to believe in climate change. They say we're warming the planet with CO2. Well, that's everything. You know, it's like, but if we're warming it with VOCs and nitrous oxide, well, we can control our emissions of that. We don't have to admit that shit, you know. And but then when you realize that, you go, well, wait a minute. Then can't we control the weather? You know, if we can screw the weather up and then screw it up less, or stop screwing it up, then we're controlling the weather, right? Well, see, they're saving that for after they fake the end of the world, because they're like, if we knew all that, and then they were going to use the weather to cause a bunch of apocalyptic, biblical-seeming storms and earthquakes, then we'd all go, no, that ain't God. That's just them VOs. Everybody knows about that. See, so, but then, if you were gonna take over the world and build yourself a special new world order, you know, you'd probably call it paradise, right? And what fun would paradise be with tornadoes in her? I mean, you could really offer your clientele paradise if you could control the weather. You know, there's a lot of, you know, if you could tell your clientele, and in paradise, we'll have soap that's good for you. You know, we'll have food that's good. You know, it's like, that was for the bad people. We got rid of the bad people. Now you get all the good stuff. So, but Y2K didn't go off for. Am I ready to tell that story? I stopped it. Well, me and somebody else, an angel, a goddess. We stopped Y2K because I knew about it. Because I'm a Phoenician. I'm a Phoenician Fontaine. And when I was a kid, being raised and groomed into the fold, before they realized I thought they were fucktards and like I wasn't going along with their fucktard weirdo shit. They taught me more than they should. I knew enough to figure the rest of it out. And I fooled them into not killing me, which we already went over. So we stopped Y2K. I guess that's an easy enough story. I mean, it was like summer of 1999. It was like, I mean, I had to wait right up to the last minute because because it takes years to get all that water up in the atmosphere, up in the upper atmosphere. And it's got to come down after January 1st, after the end of the world, after Y2K. And then it starts slowly coming down and more until it all comes down at one time, like covers big swaths of the earth and nasty, really deep, dangerous snow. And then then it melts again and earthquakes and all that. Enough stuff. And then you mix in the 666 times 3 equals 1999.998. And then all the prophecy stuff. It's like, boom, you got them, nobody will. You'll have enough people to believe it that the people that don't believe it will not say so. And if they do, they'll get killed, and the next guy won't. They'll get beat up by their family. They'll get beat up by everybody around them who calls them even though they're right, everybody thinks they're wrong. And they'll call them what do they call that? Heretics and shit. So summer of 1999, I had this, I had been saving this one shot, this one call to this lady that worked at the Washington Post that I knew, and she knew family. So when I called her, I knew that she would talk to me, and we had some nice discussion at a wedding, and I kept coming back to her to make sure she remembered me after she told me who she was and what she did at the Washington Post, and then I call her and tell her oh yeah, there's this shit they put in gasoline fucking with the weather. I've done all the research. I gave her. Told her scientists, I told her everything she needed to back it up. And she goes, all right, well, I'll talk to a reporter, and that's all I can do. Because she wasn't like a reporter. She was an editor and shit. So then I get a call from a reporter. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, And so then I told her everything and stuff, and then she was like, well, I can't really write a story about it unless I can find... she said, do you got anything in a public record? That I can report from? Because I just can't, even if I go out and all your facts and everything I can find back up the theory... if we report that shit, we'll get sued. But if it's anywhere in a public record, are you suing anybody? Do you know any court cases? I was like, well, there's plenty of MTBE court cases. She's like, I know, I do MTBE. And she was already an MTBE writer. That's why the other lady had her get in touch with me. And I said, not that I know of. She goes, well, I'm due to write an MTBE story anyway, so... I'll mention you in it. I'll tell your story about drinking the polluted well water and all that, which made me sensitive, which made me notice patterns in the weather, weekly patterns in the weather. Why is the weather doing the same thing every day? of the week the same as the last week. It goes in this up and down pattern by the weeklies, but then when you hit a holiday, it gets screwed up. Pretty obviously a weekly pattern. But carbon dioxide takes years to go from your exhaust pipe into the atmosphere, and most of it don't make it there. So it can't be that. It must be something else. And then you've got like rush hour traffic. With cars backed up in cities everywhere, they everybody gets up and starts their cars at the same time, and they all get stuck in traffic twice a day the same way. But then on the weekend they don't, so they're fucking with the water. It's like the temperature rises during the week. It gets hotter and hotter every day. The more water vapor gets, sitting on top of us, and holding the heat underneath it. And then on the weekend with no rush hour, that starts to sink, and it gets cooler. And generally, you're going to get rain on Monday or Tuesday, and then the process starts over again. I should tell her all this stuff, and she's like, "Oh man," she goes, "Well, you know what? Everything you're saying, you might be right, but I can't write about it. But I'll look into it if I can find something that says what you're saying in the public record that I can report from that, then I'll do a story on it." So, that was like the end of the week. And I think if I'm remembering the facts right, it was like on Sunday of that weekend, Bill Clinton, like nobody talked about, it's like nobody in DC even knew what MTBE was. They'd all put it in the gasoline. The government was the one who had it put in the gasoline, but they were bribed into it. Like they don't even, it was a sword. Nobody wanted to even know about it, and nobody wanted to know about it, so nobody talked about it. Now all of a sudden, that Sunday, Bill Clinton, and the head of the EPA and the head of the Agriculture Department all came out. Dan Glickman from the Agriculture Department, which was like, well, what the hell is he weighing into it for? What's he got to do with? The EPA is the one that requires it be added. They're requiring you add poison that they admit poisons groundwater all over the world. It's really, really bad for air quality. They don't admit it affects the weather, but you have to put it there. The EPA, you have to put it in your gas. Everybody gets it in their gasoline as a regulation. And it costs like they put it in at 15%, and you lose 15% fucking mileage per gallon. So it's like they go all the trouble to make this shit, put it in there, and they expect you to believe there's not some other reason when it's like, well, but if you're going to lose all that mileage, why put it in at all? Why, it's like you're not getting a benefit. It's not good for anything. Well, they say it was good for air quality, but they're fucking lying. It's like you do is, or back then, if you knew where, you didn't have to look very far to find people say, this shit's poison for the air. It's fucking shit for everybody. Excuse the fuck out of me. So anyway, so they all come out like, we got to get rid of this stuff right now. But on a Sunday, which was the intent. It's like, because the way these people operate is it's need to know. And nobody needed to know that shit. Like, I knew if I didn't know anything, it just was a fucking great shot. It's like, well, I mean, I gotta credit my goddess with the other side of the game, but anyway, so, but like Bill Clinton and the head of the EPA and the head of the agriculture would not have reacted if they knew what it was really used for. All that came across their desk is some ladies asking about MTBE affecting the weather, and we looked into what she's looking at, and yeah, this stuff is affecting the weather. We're in deep shit, like this reporter's gonna prove it, and And so they flinched. Well, we better get out ahead of it. It's like, right, to get out ahead of it before somebody above them goes, whoa, no, leave that alone. So they come out about it, and then the story, well, it started to heat up, and then it went away. Meanwhile, they pulled it out to gasoline. How do I know? Because I drank well water polluted with it, made me sick. And when I got better from drinking the water, breathing it in the air I was really, really sensitive to it. And so I was sick all the time. And that what motivated me to learn everything I could about it. It's related to the weather, anything I could poke a hole in it with. And so I stopped getting sick. I went from like living this fucking bubble boy life to I'm outside mowing grass with the traffic backed up in front of my house, smiling at the people. They're like, what the fuck is he smiling at? Why is he got it? It's like, I'm smiling because it's not that I just feel better and can perform better, getting shit done around here. It was that I did it. And she came out with the article, and it talked about a bunch of stuff, and it mentioned me and everything, but it didn't talk about the weather. And then, okay, it goes back and forth, but basically, though, I mean, there was big hurricanes and floods and earthquakes and shit, but it happened over. It was in the summer was the point, because the atmosphere with the heat, in the atmosphere, it doesn't come down as snow and ice. It comes down as rain. It comes down slower. It comes down easier. And it did. But there were evidentiary earthquakes, and there was droughts everywhere. But the droughts, then the rain came down. Then you had the earthquakes and shit. I mean, I got it all documented from way back then, like to prove the earthquake connections and, all that crap. But the point is that it came down safely. It came down safer than it would if it was in the winter. It would have come down as blizzard. It come down like a hammer instead of a feather. Even though it wasn't, it was a lot more than a feather, but it was even a hammer, but it wasn't the kind of hammer it would have been in the winter. Meanwhile, they ain't got enough time to pump the atmosphere back. Well, I wasn't letting them anyway. I mean, they put it back in the gasoline because the industry had this $1 trillion loan to build the industry, to create the MTBE that was federally backed loan that they needed to sell it to make the payments on the loan. Like, nobody knew about the loan. Like if the story about the loan, how they got the money and all that came out, so, well, it was never supposed to, like paying it was required to be used in gasoline. So there was never a question that there'd be a sales problem that would lead to them might not being able to make the payments on the loan. And then I come along, and then now they're losing sales, and so the loan starts becoming a problem, a threat, and so they put it back in the gasoline. Well, then I get sick. It's like, oh, they put it back in the gasoline. So then I go after them again, and I keep going until they take it out. Point being, by the time Y2K rolled around, the atmosphere is pretty damn clean. There's really nothing to, you're not going to get no apocalyptic end of the world. That happened during the summer. And without that, Y2K was simply Y2K. I mean, so Y2K didn't happen. And then, oh, jeez. 49 has been my limit so far. 49 minutes. And that's a pretty good wrap. That wasn't where I was going, but I'm pleased with it. You know, my delivery's okay because it's like I'm just laying here. I ain't reading no prompter. Like, 'cause I can go on about this stuff for fucking days and weeks, just right off the top of my fucking head. And then you put a panel of fucking truth people in front of me to be going along and looking for all the facts or AI or something, you know, to back me up and say, if he's making it up, boy, the details are all fitting the puzzle together nicely. You know, it's like I might be wrong or full of crap or delusional, but you know, I'm not making up like I've got the article from the with my name in it from the reporter, and days after Bill Clinton and the rest of them freaked out over MTBE, you know, it's like it all had, and then you can search for yourself, you know, then the Truth Committee will sit there and go, well, yeah, but is it really true that nobody talked about MTBE, that it was a strange anomaly for the Clintons, and why the Department of Agriculture? Well, because at that time, the MTBE was causing severe droughts in the Midwest, and you know, it was like, yeah, it totally fit. The Department of Agriculture was mixed into the middle of that, you know, and anyway, so then the committee could search that and say, yeah, no, actually, there are lawsuits for groundwater pollution. There's all kind of excitement around MTBE behind the scenes, but there's nobody. It's not a public topic, and it's need to know. You know, it's a topic people don't want to fucking look at because they bribed like everybody in D.C. in order to get that $1 trillion loan and the EPA and the regulations to put all that in place. It was in the Clean Air Act of fucking 1990, and like, other than the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or something like that, it was like the only other time that everybody in both parties in Congress and the Senate supported something. Like, there's never been anything else even close, but like the Bill of Rights and the Clean Air Act of 1990, which was all MTBE. There is nothing else in the Clean Air Act anybody give a crap about. It's all fucking bullshit. I mean, there's stuff in there, but it's all fucking bullshit. But MTBE, with the regulations of that, were in there, and there's a whole nother side of that fucking story. And I'll get to it too, goddamn. I'm getting better. Yeah, just tell the fucking... I keep trying to fucking, like, how am I going to get people to believe, you know, a bunch of connected dots? You know, it's like, yeah, but when I tell all the little stories in between, you know, from my personal experience, then you can see, you listen, you're like, you know, like I'm telling a story I imagine it's some kind of credible as far as listening to people talk and thinking I sound like I know I'm telling a story that I was involved, like I'm not making it up, because I'm not. So I probably do sound like just telling it firsthand. Yeah, no, that's not bad, and because I generally break everything up because stuff's all so unbelievable on any side of it. It's all fucking like fucktarded and fucktarded weirdo. Fucktarded weird. And that's not my fault. It's your fault. It's all you fucking people's fault. It is, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, soap was my fault too. Till I stopped fucking using it. And realize that that's another fucktarded fucking wormhole. But the rest of you are still fucktards using soap, so you know. I mean, it's everybody's fault. You know, it's like, yeah, the people, but the fucktard weirdos, the ones who come up with this crap, they're just weirdos, because it's like you live on this planet, and then you think it's a great idea to fake the end of the world with real apocalypse, with a real. You're gonna Y2K hack shit all over the world, and then it's gonna be followed by nature doing its own thing with blizzards, storms, earthquakes, catastrophes, and they're all up there. Ha ha! Take that! We're smarter than you. It's like, what are they from fucking Mars? Are they on the moon? Like, are their kids not here? Like these people who do this kind of stuff, like kind of people that fight wars over stupid shit. It's like, what, and they become so passionate about it, like, it's like, but it's not like you're morally wrong. It's like, that's a whole nother thing. It's like, no, you're stupidly, it's like, what are you fucking, like they actually thought that they had no problem as long as, like, it was a secret plan, that they were behind it. And so it would work. It's like, as long as we don't know the plan, then the earthquake won't happen wherever they are or something. It's like, it's like, or like, but what if, like, they did all that shit, and then the earth just started cracking apart and the lava started coming out everywhere and it all did. I mean, like, if you have the confidence to pull off that kind of shit and think you get away with it, I mean, why don't you just go to Mars? Like, I mean, it's like, anyway. But then that goes back to the Fontaine Phoenicians, and it goes way back for it's some sick, weird shit. Like, for me, the end of the world is the end of this dumb shit. The end of these fucking idiots that stalk mankind through history. Like, oh man, I can go on and on. It's like, and they put themselves on these pedestals for what they think of as evil, but, like, the devil's not stupid. Like, all this stuff is fucktarded, stupid shit that the fucktards, they get away with it, and so they think everybody else is stupid, and everybody else is stupid too. But what's smart about doing it? It's like the people that it's getting over on are stupid, and the people doing it are stupid. So all fucking people are stupid. But I mean, if we could stop thinking we all know so much, if we could all admit we're stupid, then we'd stop thinking people are so smart that they can run everything without us even paying attention, so we won't be fucktarded no more. And then we're paying attention, well, we're not going to elect fuckers. It's like, you can be a weirdo, but not a fucktard weirdo running everything. We're going to have normal stupid people instead of stupid people that think they're smarter than everybody else. Or whatever. But, that's, for me, the end of the world is the end of that dumb shit. Like, yeah, I won't say that. I'm not going to endorse anybody for the presidency either. But then I say something that I mean more of a metaphorically, allegorically, something to make a point to you, and then the person I endorse saying it turns out to be well, he is he's stupid too. We're all fucktards. It's like, it's like, I sometimes I catch myself thinking I'm the only one who ain't motherfucking fucktarded. It's like, well, if you're so unfucktarded, how come you haven't stopped this shit yet? I was like, well, I've stopped lots of it. Like, I'm on the job. It's like, right, and you're not getting it done, are you? I was like, okay. And as long as I keep telling myself I'm a fucktard until I'm succeeded, I'm going to keep trying, because I don't like being I want to be the smartest guy in the fucking world. Well, then I can't be that if if I failed the biggest or the least, it's like, no, that don't count. That don't count. Actually got to get there, you know. So we're all fucktards. If we can just, like Rocky, Rocky's like,